Hello, Dermot.
Wow, how many of Suede? Three of Suede here.
Yeah, three of Suede.
How's it going?
3/5 of Suede here.
I love this.
Oh, thank you.
I know you got it this morning. Literally, I opened my mail this morning. By the way, people at home obviously don't know what I'm talking about. It's your new album.
He's pointing at a CD, yeah.
And it's terrific. It's so old school. That's what I love about it.
Yeah, it's
old school but new.
Yeah, it's kind of, it sounds like Suede, doesn't it?
Do you want to know my favourite tracks?
What's that? Yeah, go on, please.
It's tracks, plural.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. The album's called Blood Sports, and my favourite tracks are Barriers, which is the first track, which I love, and For the Strangers.
Oh, well, that's lucky, because we're playing For the Strangers.
I know, I heard that. That's great.
Especially for you.
That's not even a single, right?
Not at the moment. It might end up being one. But
so what's the first single off the album?
Well, the first proper single is called It Starts and Ends With You.
Yeah, that's nice
too. Which is the third track on the album. Yeah. But yeah, Barriers we sort of gave it away a few weeks ago as a kind of like one of those kind of internet giveaway things.
Are they fun to do, or are they just a bit annoying?
I thought it was great, because you can sort of do that these days, and we're really proud of the track, and we kind of wanted people to hear it, but we thought it probably wasn't sort of a single, but we just thought, we'll chuck it out there and see what people think. And I think because we've been working on the album for such a long time, we just sort of wanted to get a bit of reaction from what we were doing.
Well, I tweeted immediately while I was listening to it this morning, and I just sort of
Yeah, I read it. It's very, very sweet of you.
Oh, don't be daft.
It was a sweet tweet.
And not so surprised, but it was the amount of sort of feedback I got. Just go, oh, when's the album out? I can't wait. You forget what a huge fan base you guys have got.
Yeah, they're out there, which is nice. Yeah, I mean the live shows we've been doing for the last couple of years have been pretty crazy, actually. So we're doing another one on the 30th of March.
I can get that in subtly later on. This is what I do.
I've just been told to say that.
I can just put it in and sort of justify as editorial later on.
Okay, let's rewind then.
Don't go in early on that.
Yeah, okay.
But when you do the live shows, do you, for the most part, have you been playing the old stuff, or have you put any new stuff out?
Well, I mean, the last couple of years, since we reformed, we only had old stuff to play. Yeah. So, but from now on, we've got a new album to play, which is nice, because it's, I think it's important to have to feel like you're actually going forward rather than just looking at the past. I've loved playing all the old hits, and we did some reissues, and but after a while, I think, unless you can only do that for a while, so we needed to make a new album to sort of justify being together still, I think.
And when did that come about? Did you, because you had Black Rainbows last time I saw you.
Yeah.
And then the time before that we saw you at Latitude, which I don't think was last year, it was the year before.
Exactly.
Was that right? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So then when did you sort of just, did put your heads together and go, okay, let's start this now, and how long did it take?
We were making it for pretty much all of last year. I mean, even from the end of the year before. I mean, it was a long album to make. We had lots of songs kind of that we rejected, because I think it was really, we just had a very high kind of sense of quality control about it. We didn't want to just put an album out there because people wanted us to release an album. Wanted to release something that we're really proud of.
Also, when you've got the back catalogue you've got, you can't just release an album.
You're competing against your past, and it's this tricky balancing act about kind of getting those two things right. Sounding like Suede, but sort of still sounding fresh. And it's like, because of that, we had to reject a lot of songs. So there's a lot of work. It's a hard album to make, but I'm really pleased with that.
And now that your lives are all so different, you probably live in different places, and or you haven't progressed at all. We've got a drummer who lives in Thailand, so that kind of makes rehearsals quite difficult.
We normally meet in Abu Dhabi for rehearsals.
Well, the England cricket team.
No, the rest of us are all in London.
Oh, okay, so it was relatively easy. Did you stay in London to make it, or did you?
Yeah, we made it actually we made some of it in Belgium. So, yeah, London and Belgium, yeah.
Underrated country, Belgium.
It is, it's very beautiful.
It's actually really nice. And also, like,
of course,
you and me being history buffs, it's like steeped in history as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Did the boys share your love of First World War documentaries, or?
I don't know.
How come you've never talked about that? I bore the... Second World War. Exactly. One leads into the other. You can't like one and not like the other. Okay, so did you, when you sat down and you had the reunion, like the big reunion?
Yeah.
Was that when this all came about? I mean, how did you sort of resting the band and bringing the band back together come about? Because we've never really talked about that, because I've always had you on solo.
I think we just got asked to do a gig by the Teenage Cancer Trust, and it just it wasn't premeditated. It just seemed like the right time. Excuse me. And it was originally going to be just a one-off show,
Was that all of you?
Yeah, we kind of thought, let's just do a one-off show. We thought it'd be a beautiful, elegant way to reform a band, but not go through the whole thing of reforming a band, if that makes any sense. But we did the show, and it was possibly my favourite show we've ever done. And we just thought, well, we can't leave this. And we carried on playing because we really enjoyed it. And then it kind of got to this point where we sort of said to ourselves, well, if we're going to carry on playing, we have to make new music. We can't just keep playing songs from the past. So we went in, and when we started writing, with no deadlines, no record company, nothing like that. Just made a record, slowly made a record, and for the first sort of few months, it was quite hard, and we were sort of thinking, well, I'm not sure if this is going to work, and it just sort of clicked. We wrote the song Barriers, and that song kind of like, it sort of made sense of the other songs. It kind of was the missing piece of the jigsaw, and from then on, I think we wrote that in about April or something like that, didn't we? And it kind of just suddenly made sense, and we had an album.
Brett, you've always kept in shape. That's what we love about you. You always look fit as a fiddle. Chaps, you put a band back together, and Suede have always been, for me, quite a physical band. You dance when you go to a gig. Have you boys kept in shape, Rich and Neil? You look both in fine fettle.
Well, we put Brett in the gym for all five of us, really. He does all our work.
I don't go to the gym, by the way. I'm not a gym person.
All right, listen, let's have some music. You are going to do... Bless you.
I'm not having that slur against my name.
You're not a gym guy at all? You're an outside guy?
No, I cycle a lot in London. That's how I keep fit. Sort of spend most of my life going up and down the canal, Regent's Canal. Fantastic. Not in the snow, though. That's a bad idea, because you slip into the water. You don't want to do that.
No way.
No. Anyway, what are we doing?
You're going to do a song now.
Oh, okay. Let's do it. For the Strangers. This is a new song.
Like semaphore to my heart, we slither and slide and slip. Stings like aerosol in my eyes, and nothing compares to this. And it's ever so clear, and it's ever so plain for the strangers, and it's ever so clear, and it's ever so plain for all the strangers out there. It's from oranges spat away to gutters and drains and bins, left like promises on a tray when you delivered yourself to him. And it's ever so clear, and it's ever so plain for the strangers, and it's ever so clear, and it's ever so plain for all the strangers out there. A paper trail on the road that was left for the ghosts. Like the birds flying north, it's been growing cold, and it's ever so clear, and it's ever so plain for the strangers, and it's ever so clear, and it's ever so plain for all the strangers out there. For all the strangers out there, for all the strangers, for all the strangers out there.
Woo! Still got it! Yeah! Go Suede! From the album Bloodsport's out the 18th of March, that's For the Strangers. You got to make that a single, that's a cracking song. Not that singles really mean anything anymore, do they? Do they?
Difficult sort of to define what it is really now, isn't it?
Just give it away again. Stop giving stuff away, though. Can't give Rick, don't give everything away.
We won't give everything away. We'll give some stuff away.
Yeah. Listen, are you glad that what year were you guys when you rested it?
Oh, we split up in 2003.
And that was 100% split up. We're not going to... We walked away from it.
Actually, at the time, we sort of just said, look, we kind of want to go and do our own things at the time. But inevitably, that kind of like sort of evolves into sort of doing other things and splitting up and not...
Were you glad you rested it when you did that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it was absolutely the right thing to do. I totally don't regret that at all. In fact, I think we should have possibly not made the last album, because I think the last album was a mistake. But you live and learn. I think that we needed to be away from things for 7 years and to kind of do other things. I really enjoyed making solo records, and I learnt a lot from doing that. And I think the other guys learnt a lot from just sort of like being in a successful band. You get sort of like everything done for you, and you remain in this sort of state of permanent kind of adolescence.
Especially when you are so young when you start.
Exactly.
Well.
I mean, there's that theory of kind of like, you know, people don't evolve emotionally from the point beyond which they become famous.
Yeah.
And I think that's very true, especially with bands. You just get, you know, you get kind of led around by the nose by your management, and I think we all needed to kind of get away from that and kind of grow up a bit, you know.
Well, I noticed that because you meet so many people in my line of work where you know they're in and then they're out and then they're doing another interview and you sort of get to know people as your career goes on. You realise that some people, like, they start making music and then it's almost like they haven't got time for any other interests or any other influence in their life whatsoever.
No.
And it's almost like you need time off to go and explore those things.
Absolutely,
and those things can be as puerile or as intellectual as you want them to be, but
you need to live a bit of life. I mean, you know, music is such an all-consuming thing, and when you're kind of involved in a sort of successful band, you literally don't have any time to yourself. So, you know, you just need to get away from that and live a bit of life.
Even if that's all you want to do, you've got to be able to have time to actually just make music.
Exactly, and then but that's the kind of irony of these situations is, you know, after a while you don't have anything to write about except the music itself, and that's why people kind of become bland and
mental.
Don't really go mental. I just don't have anything to say anymore because you don't really live a kind of normal life.
What did you chaps do while the band split up? I'm thinking Trout Farm.
Well, I did. I started working with a guy called Sean McGee on a project called Art Magic. And I was doing that.
What was Art Magic?
It was like a sort of a project that I've got. We did an album last year called Become the One You Love, and there was an EP before that. I actually started working with Sean a good 18 months before Suede got back together. So that's kind of what I was, up until that point, I was building a home studio and just writing and trying to find my feet as an artist again. You know, because Suede is it's a kind of you know, all-consuming thing stylistically, and I needed to kind of, you know, work out how to spread my wings a bit as a musician, and Art Magic helped me do that. So that was my main project.
And when
it's still going now.
It's amazing how many musicians you meet that build their own studios, and I never know if it means literally build your own studios, because it must...
but it's we're not talking soundproofing or anything, but like sort of piecemeal, you know, learning how to use software and stuff like that. You know, I had to do that from scratch. So
I don't know why
that took a long time.
I always have the image of Turing Breaks to buy a cement mixer when you know, because they came in and they were building a studio. I just have that image in my head. And what about you, Neil?
Oh, well, even though Suede had called us a day, I think we all just carried on making music, being in other bands, and kind of just exploring what we were kind of interested in at the time. But always music was at the forefront of what we were doing.
And Matt? No, I've never met Matt. But
he's now a top journalist.
Is he?
Yeah.
And a bass player.
Sometimes, occasional bass player.
But he's done music for shows as well, right?
Yeah. because through his brother, his now much more famous brother.
Richard Osman is the tallest and nicest man you could possibly wish to meet, and is also one of the cleverest. And Richard, obviously,
he's very clever. Yeah,
and I've worked with Richard several times because he's MD as Epitron as well, which is a production company.
Yeah,
lovely guy.
Yeah, he's very smart chap.
And he doesn't.
He used to be a grumpy teenager, though. I'm sure he won't mind me saying. But when me and Matt used to kind of like very, very early days, it was back in like 1985 or something like that, playing our silly little songs that weren't very good. He just used to stomp around the house. me and Matt were kind of really into the 60s. We kind of went through this thing of being into bands like Love and the Beatles, of course, and all these sort of bands like Jefferson Airplane. And we were kind of sitting there playing a Jefferson Airplane song one day, and he kind of burst into the room and said, "The 60s were rubbish and Love were rubbish." So I'm sure he won't mind me saying that he was a bit of a grumpy teenager.
Is Matt
but
as
he's
tall
certainly
as
not anymore.
Richard?
Huh?
Is Matt anywhere near as tall as Richard?
They're about the same height, aren't they?
No.
Aren't
Richard's enormous.
Yeah.
Is he?
Richard is huge now. Was he big as a teenager?
I think so. Yeah.
The lovely thing with you guys coming back as well, it seems to be sort of reading up and having interviewed you a few times, is the nice thing is you seem to be doing it A, at your own pace, and B, by your own rules. And because you were never really in with the music industry, when you were around in the 90s.
I've always had a bit of a healthy distance from it. Yeah.
Quite. Yeah. Does that make it more comfortable this time round?
Yeah, I think so. I've always sort of felt that we've kind of done things for the right reasons as much as you can. I mean, obviously, being in any sort of business, you get massively compromised, especially anything artistic. But I've always tried to do things for the right reasons. Yeah, I don't look back on the decisions we made and sort of like and cringe too much.
And you're going to tour? Like, I know you've got the gig that you mentioned earlier on, Ali Pali on the 30th.
Yeah.
But presumably this is going to set up for a bigger tour.
Yeah, I guess we'll be touring later in the year. I think it'd be fairly strange if we didn't.
When I was doing my research, just sort of looking at places you were big when you were like, or still are big, the two biggest places, and this says a lot about Suede for me, because I was just reading, going, God, yeah, I buy into this. Chile, fiery, passionate, a whiff of aristocracy about it. Very Suede. Denmark, broody, noir, sexual,
yes,
suicidal slightly, yes, all of this has a
dogma.
Exactly. What was it like going to those places when you guys first started and just went, blimey, where did all these people come from?
That's the kind of weird thing about us sort of being classified as a Britpop band was that we were always kind of had quite an international appeal for some reason, and quite an international fan base. We were kind of one of these bands that are much bigger outside the UK than we are actually in the UK, strangely enough. Sold more of our records outside, whereas lots of our contemporaries sold more of their records inside the UK.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's always amazing going to these countries. It's always fantastic. We did a lot of touring in the last couple of years, and we went to places like Chile, didn't we? And kind of China and all these places that are not on the normal rock kind of path. And it was fantastic. It's amazing that you can write songs as a kind of slightly dysfunctional kind of like kind of skinny sort of like 20-something man stroke boy, and they appeal to sort of people in China and Chile. There's something really lovely about that there's something about if you get songs right, it's about the human condition, and that's a universal kind of like thing.
Also, it must make you feel both like you said, incredibly grateful, but at the same time almost inconsequential, because you sort of just go somewhere and go, God, yeah, there's like my problems back. I always think travel does that. My problems back home mean so less when you go away and you go, look how big the world is, and this country doesn't care about me, and so therefore it always find it quite a humbling experience.
Yeah, it's like those moments when you realise how big the universe is, isn't it? You can like this little speck sitting there. Yeah.
Well, listen, thanks for coming in, chaps.
Thank you very much, Dermot.
Great to have you with us. What are you going to finish up with?
We're going to play old song called Trash.
Oh, amazing. Great stuff. This is Suede and Trash.
Oh, maybe it's the clothes we wear, the tasteless bracelets that tie in our hair. Maybe it's our kookiness. in places are cellophane sounds. Maybe it's our looseness. Trash, you and me. We're the litter on the breeze. We're the lovers on the streets. Trash, me and you. It's in everything we do. It's in everything we do. Oh, maybe it's the things we say, the words we've heard, and the music we play. Maybe it's our sweetness. Or maybe it's the times we've had, the lazy days and the crazes and the fads. Maybe it's our cheapness. Trash, you and me. We're the litter on the breeze. We're the lovers on the streets. Trash, me and you. It's in everything we do. It's in everything we do. It's in everything we do.
Suede, Trash. New album Blood Sports is out the 18th of March. Chaps, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much.
We've got a lot of tweets and texts and so forth saying how much you're enjoying it. One in particular from Mr. Killy Cranky said, sounding great acoustic for a couple of old gits. Well, apart from Richard, is he over 20 yet?
No, 17.
17 still. Richard from the land of tin and oak. Thanks a lot, guys.
From the Broomy Law to Sauchiehall Street and up to the Byres Road and beyond, it's the time of year when musicians from all around the world wish they were in Glasgow.